Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm chuckling right now because this is take two of the intro for this podcast because I started out, and I was really getting jazzed, getting excited, and then I totally choked on, I don't know, my own spit or my coffee or whatever it is. I had this giant coughing attack. So, yes, this is take two. And I just had to share that with you because, I think it's kind of funny. And this happens to the best of us. Okay. I hope that you don't think that these shows are just like one take gloriousness. For sure, Feel Good Social Podcast is never that way. And you probably have already picked up on that if you've listened to past episodes. But, everyone else's podcasts are that way too. Just got to put that out there. So we're all just being glorious in our imperfections over here and just getting the dang things done. And that's life, So the next time that you're feeling weird or bad or comparing yourself to anyone else online, to people with businesses that are similar to yours, just remember that everyone is going through the same thing. And whatever you're dealing with is very likely similar to what other people are dealing with too, my friends. So I just had to share that little knowledge nugget with you today to kick off this episode. But anyway, I am super jazzed to be in your earbuds today. I know I've been saying that pretty much every week for the past few episodes, but it's so true. I get super nerdy and excited, overly enthusiastic when it comes to talking about topics that are super strategic and how you can market your business online in a way that feels good, but is still strategic and going to get you the results that you want to see, right? And today, once again, is one of those topics. So you will probably hear me getting overly nerdy and jazz handsy over here on this side of the earbuds. And, no shame. I'm proud of how nerdy I am. And I hope that you really enjoy this episode and today's topic because we are talking about the 6 content themes that you can talk about again and again and integrate into your content that help your ideal customers want to buy from you. Right? These are themes that you can share about again and again, create different types of posts about that really help your brand stand out online, that helps your customers feel like they know, like, and trust your brand and want to choose your brand to buy from whenever they're looking for whatever the heck it is that you sell, right? This is especially helpful during this time of year as we are moving into the busy holiday sales season and all that different stuff, right? This sort of content and the themes that we talk about in today's episode are definitely stuff that you'll want to be posting more and more often as we go into this fourth quarter, as we go into the end of the year, if you want to see the most success during the holiday season and really help boost your bottom line to end this year with a bang, right? So before we do dive into all the things and these 6 different content themes that you can start incorporating, I just want to remind you, if you do enjoy this show, if you find that you just gain a lot of knowledge and insight from these episodes, I would absolutely love it if you shared the podcast with another biz friend who could also use to listen to it. We are gaining on 75,000 downloads for the Feel Good Social podcast, which, has been a long, consistent time coming. And it's just getting me so excited and so stoked to continue showing up in your earbuds every week. And I just want us to keep this feel good community growing, right? So if you enjoy this episode and you think it's super helpful, definitely send the link to one of your business friends who could also use to listen to it, who should also become a regular Feel Good Social podcast listener. And don't forget, if you want to screenshot the episode, share it to your Instagram stories, and make sure that you tag me. If you do, I'm at Feel Good Social on Instagram. If you tag me at Feel Good Social on your Instagram stories, I will be able to see it. I will be able to reshare it, and I will be able to spread the love right back to you. I just had a woman share the podcast today, this morning. I woke up to the message. She shared the podcast to her Instagram stories, and it just made me so happy. I reshared it. We've been chatting in the DMs. It's been so wonderful. So that could be you, my friend. I would absolutely love love it if you did that. And I can't wait to chat with you over there. Tag me at Feel Good Social on Instagram stories. Make sure you do, because if you don't tag me, I won't be able to see it. Okay. So just make sure you tag me if you do. All right. Let's dive into the 6 content themes that you can share about on Instagram that will help your ideal customers want to buy from you. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Do you know what your brand vibe is on Instagram? I have a new fun quiz that's just for you, my friend. I, of all people, know how hard it is to figure out how the heck you're supposed to translate your brand to the gram. And with this quick 7-question quiz, we will help you hone in on your brand's personality, voice, and visuals so that you can show up consistently and create content that looks beautiful and feels on brand for you. This quiz is so awesome. It's been a long time coming, and I know that you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Plus, the results will help you show up in the best way for you. If you'd like to check out our new brand vibe quiz, just head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz. Pretty easy. Head to feelgoodsocial.com/quiz to find out what your brand's vibe is on social media and start showing up there for your brand. All right, my friend. Now, before we dive into the 6 content themes that you can start sharing about that will make your people want to buy specifically from you as we move into this holiday season, I just want to give you a quick update. We have made it back to Colorado. If you've been keeping track, if you've been listening to the Feel Good Social podcast over the summer, you might know that we had this big road trip planned, right? We actually, earlier in the spring, we sold our home. We got a van. We were building out the van, and we were going to travel and do a 2-month road trip this summer. And the week before we were kind of ready to get out on the road, our van broke down. And so we actually ended up buying a minivan and going on a different adventure. We went to South Carolina for almost 2 months. And then we visited my mom in Indiana on the way home to Colorado. And now we are back in Colorado. It's wonderful. No more echoey closet days for me, at least not currently. That might come up again in the future. I had to record from the closet in South Carolina because the house had no padding, no carpet, no nothing. And it was very, very echoey that we were staying in. So anyway, that's a little backstory, but I'm just happy to let you know, yep, we made it back to Colorado, all 3 dogs with us. The minivan worked wonderfully. I love our minivan so much. And currently, at the time of this recording, we are in the deep end of just making sure that everything is good to go for our wedding. We're actually getting married on Halloween of this year. And I'm totally going to record just kind of a little special podcast episode, just all about the wedding planning and the theme of the event and all that different stuff, just to share the journey a little bit. And that'll be fun. And you can look forward to that. But anyway, I just had to share an update with you because, I feel like you, as my listeners, have just been going along in this summer journey with me, and I'm always recording from somewhere crazy, right? So currently back at Brett's parents' house, in a house that is very much padded because we have a lot of our crap in here right now. And so hopefully the audio quality is great and back to normal. Okay. Also, real quick, before we dive into the content themes, I just want to say that I would love to encourage you to go grab a pen and paper or whip out your phone to jot down notes as we are going through this episode. This is something that I love to encourage listeners, especially for strategic episodes such as this one. I'm going to be getting nitty gritty and like go deep diving into these themes and different content ideas for you and how you can share in different ways about all this stuff. So grab a pen and paper, because I don't want you to think of an awesome content idea and then forget it as soon as the episode ends, right? Because that totally happens to me. Also, if you are looking for support through the end of the year, through this holiday season, if you're looking for different graphics that you could share on social media to help you promote your sales and offers, if you are wanting to bounce ideas around and get feedback on your promotions and the content that you're going to share, if you are just looking for a community to cheer you on as we go into this crazy selling time of year, because believe me, I know how helpful that can be, I would love to invite you to check out the Feel Good Social Club. It's feelgoodsocial.com/club. This is our monthly membership that is so freaking awesome. We have tons of customizable Canva templates in there that you can take and use for your brand. We have monthly content planning workshops where literally we come together and I help you figure out your content plan of attack for the upcoming months. I can also help talk you through different ideas that you have for your business and marketing and content and give you feedback on what you're thinking. And especially through this time of year, it is so helpful through the holidays, right? And then we have awesome community forums in there, and our club members are so, so wonderful. And I cannot tell you how awesome it is to be friends and have this community of people who are down to earth, who are in the posting trenches with you, who get it, and who are just there to like help cheer you on and give you their insight and feedback and everything, right? So check out the Feel Good Social Club. It's feelgoodsocial.com/club. I am planning on raising the price soon. Just had to throw that out there. Not exactly sure when that's going to be, but it's going to happen in the future. So if there was ever a time to check out the Feel Good Social Club, it would be right now, my friend. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the 6 content themes that make people want to buy from you. And like I said, I'm about to get super nerdy and you'll probably hear the enthusiasm coming through in my voice. I hope I don't yell into the microphone too much. Okay, so let's talk about the what real quick. I always like to talk about the what, the why, and the how in these sorts of episodes, right? So when I say content themes, I'm really talking about like these 6 content pillars, themes for different posts and different content that you can share about regularly in your content that really just help prep your customers to want to buy from you. These are different types of like posts that you can share that will help your brand stand out online from the crowd, make your brand more memorable, help your ideal customers to get to know, like, and trust your brand better, which then ultimately leads them to wanting to buy from you, support your brand, all that different stuff, right? So these are great like content themes and like ideas to think about to share regularly throughout the year, like at all the time, right? But especially for this time of year, as we are leading into a highly promotional season, Q4, the season of selling, the season of gifting, right? This sort of stuff and these 6 themes are definitely stuff that you should be sharing more regularly, especially if you are looking to boost your sales leading into end of the year, really boost your sales before 2023 and really see success with your holiday promotions, right? Like I said, this type of content not only is selling focused, it's not all going to be like, buy from me, buy from me. These are different themes that actually help you sell in a more indirect way, I would say. It helps with the full picture of your selling strategy so that your ideal customers don't feel like you're a used car salesman, so that instead your ideal customers feel like they are getting to know you, like you, trust you, and then want to buy from you and realize that your offers are perfect for them and also recommend your brand to all their friends, right? So that's really what we're talking about today. Okay, so let's dive into the 6 different themes Can you tell I'm getting excited? Okay, theme number 1. So the first thing that you can talk about again and again and again for your brand, again, I want to reiterate, these are themes for content that you can share regularly. And you can create lots of different posts and lots of different types of content. And you might generate multiple content ideas from these themes. And I really, really want to drive home that you can totally share these themes again and again and again, right? This is a regular content pillar. This is a regular content theme that you can talk about once a week if you wanted to, honestly. If you wanted to really drive home and create a strategic plan of attack for your content through the rest of the year, I honestly recommend that you post 6 times a week and that you post one of each of these pillars once a week, right? So this is stuff, it's not just a one and done sort of situation. Just had to drive that home because I know that I need to hear that regularly, and I thought maybe you did too. Okay. So theme number 1 is to drive home your brand values so that people want to get behind your brand and support you. Okay. This is one of those things that you might hear a lot of people talking about, like brand values, talk about your brand values, all that different stuff. But I feel like a lot of times it's kind of confusing, right? And then also like it kind of gets overlooked as like content that we can create. But the more that you can really drive home what your brand values, the more you'll stand out online, the more people will not only like remember your brand, but also feel compelled to support your brand and feel compelled to even recommend your brand to all their friends and buy from your brand specifically, right? Your brand values are really, really helpful in getting people to choose you over all the other Jane Schmain brands out there that are very similar to yours, right? So the more you can just repeatedly drive home and talk about your brand values again and again, remind people this is what we value, this is what we stand for, this is what we want to see change in the world, the better, because people need to hear that stuff again and again and again for it to ultimately sink in. And then when they hear it, they get excited about it. They want to get behind your brand and they really want to choose you over the other brands that don't have the same values as you and or just don't talk about their values as much as you, right? So talk about your values again and again and again. And a way you can think about your brand values, right, are to talk about the things that your brand supports, right? Here are a few questions that can really help you understand your brand values. Like, what does your brand support in your industry and the world at large, right? What makes you cringe about your industry and the world at large? These could be 2 separate posts even, right? 2 different ways to approach this content theme of brand values. What does your brand support? And then on the other side of the coin, what makes you cringe? And I always like to break it into your industry and also the world at large as well, right? Because that can kind of generate different ideas. You can also come at it as what do you want to see change in your industry and or the world at large? What do you want to see change? And then on top of that, the cherry on top for that one is what actions is your brand taking to make this change happen? Right? Because we can talk all day about our values, what we support, what makes us cringe, what we want to see change, all that different stuff. But following it up with the literal actions that your brand is taking or you personally are taking to make this change happen, to support your values, all that different stuff is super, super helpful. And it shows that your brand, quote unquote, like puts its money where its mouth is, which if you support a charity, awesome. Like you literally are putting your money where your mouth is. But like, or puts your actions, puts your time, puts your energy where your mouth is, right? I also want you to think about like not only, like I said, your industry, what does your brand want to see change in your industry, but also like the world at large. Talk about the bigger issues as well. Especially, I think in the past few years, honestly, this has been really, really huge for customers' purchasing decisions. Okay. The bigger issues and how brands stand on them and the actions that they are taking to support whatever it is that they support is huge in really influencing customers on which brands they want to buy from, right? So, not just talking about the smaller issues, the niche issues within your industry and all that different stuff, but talking about the bigger things like sustainability, Black Lives Matter, Black owned businesses, all that different stuff. Like that sort of stuff is really, really helpful. And especially, no one's going to know if you don't talk about it, right? So when it comes to talking about your brand values and all the different stuff, just remember that. Remember that you may know that you value all these things. You may know that you want to support this or make this change. You may know that you're taking action, that you're donating to certain charities, that you are hiring Black owned businesses on this like back end and all that different stuff. But your ideal customers don't know unless you tell them. Right. So we need to be telling them about this stuff. We need to be inviting them to also support the things that we support, to also value the things that we value. And we just need to be talking about it again and again and again and sharing how we're taking action to support our brand values. Okay. The last thing I want to say about brand values is just remember to always consider, am I being performative when it comes to this stuff, right? Because I'm going to kind of like caveat what I just said, right? But long story short, I mean, we need to be talking about our brand values. Our customers aren't going to know this stuff about our brand unless we tell them and all the different stuff. But it is one of those things, it's like, we don't need to be telling them, hey, I'm giving to this charity every month, or hey, I'm hiring Black owned businesses for the back end support of my own business and stuff like that. If it's not true or if like we started doing that last week and now we're saying that and then we drop off next week or something, right? Like just remember to always, whenever you're sharing about your brand values, like really, really think deeply. Like, what does my brand care about? What are we doing currently? What have we been doing? And it doesn't need to be performative. It can be encouraging. It can be encouraging your ideal customers to also look at the world the way you do and support the things that you do, right? Instead of saying, hey, look at me, I donated to this charity, but you donated once, like $15. Like, no, we don't necessarily need to be talking about that sort of stuff. So just make sure that as you are posting about your brand values, what your brand supports, what makes you cringe, what you want to see change, all that different stuff, remember to like feel into yourself and think like, does this feel right? Am I being encouraging? Am I being like just straight up and honest and transparent with people and helpful for people? And am I not, kind of waving a flag being like, look at me, this is what I'm doing. And like, it feels kind of icky and weird, right? So it is one of those things that you can think about. And honestly, there's no right or wrong answer. And this is, again, one of the reasons that I love having the Feel Good Social Club community, having our monthly planning workshops, because I know it can feel weird sometimes. And like, it's really, really nice to have a place where you can ask people in a non-judgmental space, like, hey, I want to post about my brand values, but this is feeling kind of weird. Like, does this feel weird to you? Should I post this? That sort of stuff, right? So that's where the Feel Good Social Club's community can come in so handy. I love them so much. But yes, that is the first content theme, is to drive home your brand values, and for example, for Feel Good Social, one of my brand values is to use social media in a way that feels good to you, that's going to get you the best results possible without wasting your precious time or losing your mind or selling your soul, right? And that might sound kind of silly, but that's totally something we value. That's one of our main brand values, is to make sure that we are not wasting precious time, to make sure that all this different stuff. And I tell people about it again and again. I share stories that showcase the way I do this and the way I encourage others to do this and all that different stuff, right? So it doesn't have to be the big, crazy issues. It can just be the smaller industry issues, right? Okay. So, number one, drive home your brand values. Number two, content theme number two, share relatable content that ups your brand's likability factor. Okay. This is once again one of those themes that one is kind of confusing sometimes for people, and two, gets overlooked a lot. The value of this theme gets overlooked a lot. But long story short, it's a really great idea to just kind of share the stuff that doesn't really feel that important, or sometimes doesn't really feel like that businessy even, right? Or anything like that. Like if you can share the relatable stuff that makes your customers go, "Oh, me too," right? Or, "Oh my gosh, that's hilarious." Or, "Oh my gosh, I love that as well." Or, "Been there." You know what I mean? That sort of content is the relatable content that I'm talking about. And it may not seem very professional. It may not seem very strategic, if we're honest, but it truly is, because that sort of relatable content is helping your ideal customers get to know you and your brand, get to like you and your brand, and get to trust you and your brand on a deeper level that makes them feel more compelled to love you and want to buy and support from and support you, right? And so sharing that relatable content, it really is strategic and it's wonderful. And the thing that I love about it as well is because it not only allows you to develop a relationship with your ideal customers, but it also helps. Wait, did I say that right? No, long story short, it doesn't only help your ideal customers to get to know, like, and trust you, it helps you develop that relationship and get to know, like, and trust your ideal customers, right? It's a two-way street with this content. And so it's awesome because you can really, it's what helps develop that relationship with them, nurtures that relationship with them, that not only makes them a one-time customer, which is amazing, but makes them a repeat returning customer, and also one of those people who will recommend you to everyone else they know, right? So when it comes to relatable content, what I always like to think about when it comes to the question like what to share or what not to share, right? I always like to put myself in the mindset and think, what would I share? What stories would I tell? Like, what would I laugh about if I was sitting next to my favorite customer at a coffee shop? Right. So I always like to put myself in an intimate situation where I'm just one on one with someone who I've worked with before and I absolutely love. Right. And for Feel Good Social, my brand is very, very friendly and like approachable. And honestly, I feel like I'm very good friends with a lot of my customers. Like a lot of the Feel Good Social clubbers I chat with on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, on Instagram and in the club. And I actually, it's so funny because I have only interacted with most of Feel Good Social's customers and our Feel Good Social clubbers online, right? But I actually have gotten to meet up with several people who I've known for years online, but only online. And I've got to meet up with several of them in person now, just this summer even. And it has been so much fun and so eye-opening to me to be able to meet up with these people and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're exactly the same person." Like, I love you. And it wasn't even awkward, right? It wasn't awkward. It felt like we've already been longtime friends because we have been online, just not in real life. Because these are the type of relationships that Feel Good Social develops, right? So it depends for you on what type of relationship you want to develop with your ideal customer, for sure. But I always think that this is a good scenario to think about and put yourself in when you're thinking like, what should I share, right? Because also then you're thinking about the specific person who you are sharing something with, right? Versus like just sharing anything with the whole world, right? For example, I wouldn't always talk about rock climbing, like the specifics of rock climbing, talk about the different routes I've done, like, and recommend specific routes to someone for rock climbing if they weren't a rock climber, right? If I was just chatting with one of my Feel Good Social clubbers, I wouldn't really talk about rock climbing very much unless like they themselves were a rock climber or there was like a specific funny incident that I think they would like and enjoy to hear about, right? And so that's what I want you to think about with your ideal customer when it comes to the type of relatable content that you share is like, okay, who am I sharing this with? And it's like, what would I share with them? What would they find interesting if I were sitting one-on-one with them in a coffee shop, right? And I always like to say sitting one-on-one with them in a coffee shop because that changes the way that you show up as well, right? If you feel like you're sharing something in kind of like that intimate one-on-one way, you usually will show up as like more personable, more friendly. You might like joke about something that you wouldn't joke about with the whole world. You might just like laugh about something that you think that specific person would find funny, right? That sort of content is what I'm talking about, my friends. Those are the moments that and the relatable content that we can share with our whole community online, and your ideal customers will feel like you are speaking directly to them and you're sitting in a coffee shop with them, right? Because the way we consume social media is one-on-one. Even though we are posting to the entire world, your ideal customers are seeing your post and it's a one-on-one experience, right? And so the more you can think about it that way, the better. So that's always what I like to think about. And then when it comes to the types of relatable content you can share, here are a few ideas for you. You can tell stories. Stories are so great. And there's multiple ways you can tell stories for sure. But stories are so powerful for just in the human experience, right? And the more your brand can tell stories instead of just sharing like facts and tips and like whatever, like the more human you'll make your brand and the more you'll compel your ideal customers to relate to your brand, to love your brand, to want to buy from your brand, right? So there's multiple ways you can tell stories, of course, and I'll break some down. But the first thing you can think about is just sharing stories from your life, from your own experience that might help you prove a point about your brand, right? So this kind of comes back to like the rock climbing thing for me. I always like to share this example. Like I wouldn't sit down with one of my Feel Good Social clubbers unless they were a rock climber, right? I wouldn't sit down with them and just tell them like recommend routes to climb to them, right? Like I wouldn't talk about the details of rock climbing that like don't really make sense or like aren't important for them because they're not rock climbers, right? But I might tell a story about a specific time that I was climbing this route that I should have been able to do, right? Actually, this is totally a post. This is totally a story I told in a post for Feel Good Social a while ago, but I will tell it again right now. I told a story on Feel Good Social's post about how we went to this rock climbing area and I started climbing this. It's called a 510, right? I think it was like a 510A or something. Probably could leave that detail out. But, I started climbing this route that like I should have been able to climb based on the difficulty and what I could do at that point, right? I don't know if I could climb a 510 right now, let's be honest, because I've been a little out of the rock climbing game lately, but oh well. But anyway, I was climbing this route that I should have been able to climb and it was feeling super difficult, like a lot of the holds felt very out of reach for me or like awkward angles and all this different stuff. And I was getting very frustrated with this climb. So then we kind of like go down the wall a little bit to find another climb. And there's a 511, which is a whole level difficulty more than the 510, right? And in my head, I'm like, well, how am I going to climb this 511? I couldn't even freaking climb that 510 back there. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at the route and I'm thinking, ooh, I don't know why, but there's something about this route that looks awesome, right? I'm kind of like looking at it, I'm like, I can kind of see my body going up the wall. I can see where the holds are. I can kind of see where it might get like a little bit scary, but still kind of fun and looks doable for me, right? And so even though I climbed a 510 or I was struggling on that 510 back there that I should have been able to do, and I was feeling frustrated and I come over this 511 and I'm like, ugh, how can I climb a 511 now? Even though it felt like, I shouldn't be able to climb a 511 if I can't even do a 510. I went for it because I was like, this like actually looks great. Like, I think I can do it. Right. And I hopped on the wall and I swear to God, the route was made for me. It was like so easy, just super flowy, moving up this wall. Every hold was like perfectly like where it needed to be, to the point where like it was like it just felt perfect for me, right? I was flowing up. Even the difficult part, I was like, oh man, this is the scary part, I was feeling exhilarated just a little bit. And it felt scary, but I still got it. It was like over this overhang bulge in the wall and stuff. And I reached above it and I found the hold exactly where I wanted it to be. And it was so great, right? And it just made me realize how often we can like discredit ourselves, right? How often we say no to opportunities because we don't think that we can do them. Like we don't think we're there yet. We don't think we're at that level yet. Or we get knocked down some weeks, right? We get no's in our business that then kind of make us feel discouraged like the next week or moving forward, and make us not even feel like we can keep trying, or not even make us feel like we can go for the bigger client because that smaller client said no to us last week, right? But you can sometimes we just need to get over ourselves and go for the things that feel unreachable or that society tells us aren't reachable for us, because sometimes things are meant for us, even though they're labeled as something that we shouldn't even be able to achieve yet, right? So, okay, that was somewhat of like not very tangenty, but a little bit of a long story. But for example, this is a story that I could tell Feel Good Social people, my Feel Good Social audience, about rock climbing, because I relate it back to business. I relate it back to a lesson that they might find interesting, that they might be able to take something from. I have told a story in a way that proves a point to my people. And alongside that, they have learned something about me. They've learned that I really do love rock climbing, that I'm adventurous. They can relate to me or maybe be inspired by this or something in some way, right? So that was a very long explanation. But that is just one way that you can share relatable content, is to tell stories that prove a point to your ideal customers, right? Another way you can share relatable content is to just share things that showcase your personality, right? And it can be your brand's personality for sure, but specifically you as the head of your business, it's okay to share the personal things that don't necessarily have to do with your brand, but that other people can relate to, right? So this could look like, what do you personally love? Like, what do you like to eat, to do, to whatever, right? You can share that stuff because people can go, oh, I love pizza too, right? Also, what do you personally hate? Right? Do you hate people who chomp gum loudly? Do you hate road rager people? Because that's kind of my thing. I drive like a grandma. Brett is more of a rager more often. And it drives me crazy when I get those people who drive up to the back of my car and just like ride my butt. I'm like, and especially in the minivan too, it actually cracks me up now that we have a minivan. The people who come up and like ride my butt, and I always imagine them thinking like, oh, this grandma, get out of the way. And then they like pass me and they see like a younger woman driving it. I always get a chuckle out of that because I'm like, heck yeah, I do drive like a grandma and I own a minivan, and you need to slow down, sir. Okay. Anyway, share relatable stuff. This could look like the books that you're reading, the podcasts that you're listening to, your favorite morning beverages, right? This sort of stuff doesn't really have a lot to do with your brand, but it makes your brand more approachable, personal, relatable, and really helps to up your likability factor and develop a relationship with your ideal customers, right? You could also share behind the scenes of your personal life or business, right? Like, what's your to-do list today? Share that on social media, especially Instagram stories. I love sharing that. People find it interesting. It feels kind of boring to us, but it's still really interesting to the people who are seeing it and connecting with us. You could share interesting, funny, or relatable daily moments, right? I share this all the time when it comes to like the dogs, like Willie chewing on something that like he shouldn't be chewing on, or like Stan completely destroying a toy in like 5 minutes, right? Just like funny things that happen, that you would just probably want to like share with that person in the coffee shop, right? Or like text your best friend about or something. That sort of stuff is great to share. And like I said, I really like to do this on my Instagram stories most often, probably because it's really casual feeling. It feels very personable and intimate and kind of behind the scenesy, right? So don't shy away from sharing this stuff, and especially sharing it on your Instagram stories is so valuable for your business and content. Okay, that was a long way to explain relatable content, my friend. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down to earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down to earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability booty whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. We are about to move on to content theme 3 for this, but the first ones were driving home your brand values and sharing relatable content. The third one is to share tips, opinions, and facts that showcase your expertise and up your brand's trust level. Okay. So this is often kind of people's go-to content pillar, right? Share tips, tips, like all that stuff. And honestly, I've gotten into a few conversations with Feel Good Social Clubbers about how they don't necessarily want to share tips because they're a service provider and it makes them feel like, okay, well, I'm just telling people how to do it themselves, like not really helping them want to hire me, right? Which I get. That makes sense. But what I want to tell you is that not only can tips be actually helpful for your followers, right? Like you actually can like help them, tell them what to do, all that stuff, which can actually really help to boost your trust level with them. But it also helps to showcase your expertise, right? So that they're like, oh my gosh, she knows what she's talking about. I should hire her in the future, right? And then, I mean, like I just said, it does up your trust factor, right? So if you're sharing tips, opinions, and facts that make your ideal customers go, oh, wow, like that's really smart. She knows what she's talking about. They'll be more inclined to hire you. And if you share helpful tips that they implement and they're like, dang, heck yeah, this worked. Like that also helps them to trust you, want to pay attention to you, and want to hire or buy from you whenever they're looking to spend money in your area, right? So while I know that some service providers can shy away from sharing helpful tips and all that different stuff, it's still really helpful and strategic when it comes to selling, right? And it doesn't only have to be tips. You can also be sharing opinions that change your ideal customers' minds. And you can also be sharing facts. So let's go ahead and break this down. So when it comes to sharing tips, I get it. You don't want to be giving away the whole kitchen sink when it comes to your brand or anything like that. Although I myself for Feel Good Social, I'm a very open person. As you can probably tell by these podcast episodes, I definitely like to just kind of dish up the kitchen sink and just hope that you guys keep coming back for more and eventually join the Feel Good Social Club because I'd love to have you in there. But anyway, when it comes to sharing tips, I get it. You don't want to get super nitty gritty. You don't want to give everything away or anything like that. But I want to caveat that by saying that even if you give all of your tips, a lot of times people can't actually take the action to to implement them, right? A lot of times people don't have the time or the energy, or they just don't want to, and they're still looking for someone else to do it for them, right? So just had to put that out there. But my favorite tips when it comes to sharing tips are I like to keep my tips that I share pretty big picture. This is especially for my Instagram. I do tend to deep dive hardcore in these podcast episodes because I love you guys, right? But for Instagram and social media in general, I like to keep my tips big picture, give them an overview of a big idea, and then kind of leave them wanting more, right? It's really helpful still to share 3 tips that break down a big idea, right? And help people understand them in like that lighter way. And then they can come to you, download your freebie, or hire you if they want like a deeper dive into it, right? This is helpful too because not a lot of people have the attention span when it comes to social media for big picture tips, right? And so we definitely want to keep it somewhat on the lighter side, on the easy, understandable side, like break down, like tell them the 3 pillars of the concept, but not go super deep into it for social media posts because people don't have the attention span for it and they can't implement it very easily, right? So I like to keep them big picture or give them a quick win and share 3 tips for something that they can easily take action on, implement today, and immediately say, oh my gosh, yes, this was so helpful, right? This really helps them think, heck yes, okay, what's next? You know what I mean? So for Feel Good Social, a concept that I could share kind of like the big picture tips could be like batch planning your content, right? Like every month, start big picture, then zoom in and outline on a calendar, and then go down and do your individual posts and in an intuitive way or something. I don't know. I just kind of pulled this out of my butt. I've recorded several podcast episodes about batch planning if you want to go back and give it a listen. But, I would just kind of overarching say like the three steps to batch planning and say what it is, but not deep dive into each tip. A quick win tip that I could give for Feel Good Social could be updating your Instagram bio, right? Giving 3 tips for what to say in Instagram bios, encouraging them to go update it now. And that's something they could do in 5 minutes today. And it would make them think, oh, heck yeah, I checked something off the list. Check that off the list. Thanks, Kins. Like, what else you got for me, right? So that's what I like to think about when it comes to sharing tips, especially on social media in this environment that people's attention spans are super, super minimal, right? When it comes to sharing opinions, this is really, really helpful for helping your brand stand out online and showcase you as an expert. If you have an opinion on something in your industry or whatever that is, people can be like, oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about, right? And especially if you have an opinion that is differing from other people in your industry. This is wonderful to share, okay? Because, no matter what industry you're in, there's lots of people out there who are doing similar things to you, who have similar opinions to you and all the different stuff. And it could just feel like everyone is talking about the same things, sharing the same tips, having the same opinions and all the different stuff. So if you have an opinion that a lot of other people are talking about and you're like, I don't think that's right. Or like, I don't think I agree with that or whatever it is. It's different than the rest of the crowd. Oh man, you are sitting on a gold mine opinion, my friend, because people who share opinions that go against the grain, it could be a little bit scary sometimes, but like it totally helps your brand stand out. If you can change your ideal customers' minds about something, oh man, that boosts your trust level so much, right? So when it comes to sharing opinions, awesome, share them for sure, but really, really think like, what opinions do I have about my industry that not really a lot of people are talking about, or like that, I might disagree with the big opinions of my industry. Those are the ones that you should definitely be talking about and sharing often. Okay. And then finally, when it comes to sharing facts, my best piece of advice is to just make sure that you are sharing facts that are interesting and valuable for your ideal customers. Okay. Because it's really easy for a lot of us to pull facts out of our butts that are interesting to us and that like would be interesting to another person in our industry, like someone who's similar to us, who owns a similar business to us, right? But that your ideal customers don't really care about that much, right? I'm trying to think of one right now and I can't off the top of my head, but I think we all know the facts, right? So just make sure when you're choosing to share facts that you make them very pertinent to your ideal customer, something that would make them go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that, or, oh my gosh, that's so valuable. I'm so glad I know that information now, right? Think about your ideal customers. Don't think about another person in your industry who is similar to you, because it's easy for us to fall into that trap for sure. Okay, so that is the third content theme that you can think about, sharing tips, opinions, and facts that showcase your expertise and up your trust factor. The fourth type of content that you can share is behind the scenes of your process. Okay. Sharing behind the scenes of your process in your business, which is whether it's like developing your products, creating your products, or your services, like how you work with people and offer services to people, is so, so valuable because it boosts trust with your ideal customers, and it actually helps you to sell without really feeling like you're selling. Okay. I absolutely love showing behind the scenes of my process when it comes to Feel Good Social, sharing, my process in creating the templates that I add to the Feel Good Social Club every month. I like to share behind the scenes of our content planning workshops every month, the people who win the content challenges that we host. And when I am creating custom templates for those challenge winners, I will share that on social media, right? Because it gives people insight into what the Feel Good Social Club looks like, what's actually involved in the Feel Good Social Club, what it would be like to be a member of the Feel Good Social Club. And they can see all of that, right? It not only helps them to trust me more so when I'm talking about the Feel Good Social Club and selling the Feel Good Social Club later, but it also helps them to think, ooh, cool, maybe I need that. Oh, that's how that works, right? Ooh, I want to join the monthly content planning workshops. I want to join the challenges and maybe win a set of custom templates or something like that, right? And when I share it in a behind the scenes way, just like showing, oh my gosh, I'm working on this today. What do you guys think? Or even, I do this for my podcast episodes when I'm recording. I'll share my notes and stuff and say like, who's excited for this episode? It's a way of letting people know and explaining the processes of my business to people without really being like, hey, do you want to join the club? Or, hey, you should listen to the podcast, which I still do that. Of course, I still do that, which is actually content theme number 6. We'll get to it in a second, but I still, of course, sell straight up. But when it's bolstered with sharing behind the scenes of my processes, people are more prepared to say yes. People aren't like, who's this girl? She's just selling to me all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I totally saw you were adding those templates to the Feel Good Social Club. Now you're actually inviting me to join this month. Sure, I'd love to join. I didn't know it was like open for joining, open membership, like people will be more ready to say yes when you sell to them if you share behind the scenes of your process in this way, right? So just always be, as you are working throughout your day, think, ooh, could I share this to my Instagram stories and show people a little behind the scenes of what I'm working on today? Great. You know what I mean? This is once again something that I love to do on Instagram stories because it feels more casual, but you can still turn those stories into reels that you share for your brand as well. You can create posts that maybe a carousel that's like outlining this is what it like. This is the process. Like when you work with me, here's what our process will look like. 1, blah, blah, blah. 2, blah, blah, blah. 3, blah, blah, blah. 4, oh, look, you ride happily ever after into the sunset, right? This could totally be a carousel too. So always just like think about how can I share about my offers without selling, and showing behind the scenes of your process is one of the best ways to do that. Okay, what are we on? Theme number 5. Share client testimonials and transformation stories. Okay. I love this one so much because once again, it's something that kind of gets overlooked or feels boring for people, but it can be really, really helpful because when you share client testimonials or transformation stories, you are giving social proof to people and helping to solidify your potential customers' purchasing decisions so that they go, heck yes, I do want to buy from you. Thank you so much. Showing social proof and is such a great way to do this. It's the cherry on top. If someone is waffling like, ooh, I've been looking at this offer for a while. I would love to work with you, or I would love to buy this thing. I'm just not sure. I don't know. If you share a customer testimonial and people are like, oh, this person bought it and they loved it, it makes them go, okay, yeah, okay, I totally want to buy this. It makes them hit the purchase button, right? So when it comes to sharing client testimonials and transformation stories, I actually recorded an entire, 40-minute, maybe hour-long episode about customer testimonials. So definitely go back and listen to it. Scroll back. It's episode 121. It's all about how you can share customer testimonials the different ways. I break down the customer transformation story and all that different stuff. But just an overview real quick. There are lots of different ways that you can share customer testimonials and transformation stories. Testimonials are kind of the front facing what your client, like praise that your client gives you, right? So sharing just like a quote from your client or like a video of them just talking about what it was like to work with you and the success that they saw and all that different stuff. That is great to share regularly because, like I said, it might be boring for the majority of your audience to see a customer testimonial post. Like if they're not ready to buy from you, they'll probably just scroll on past your customer testimonial post, but whatever, because the people who are ready to buy from you will go, oh, look at what this person did. Oh, this person saw this success. Oh, okay. I definitely want to buy this now, right? So for the majority of your audience, customer testimonial posts, might just be whatever, and they don't really care, and it's fine. But for someone who has been thinking about buying from you, who's wondering if they should, who's wondering what it'd be like to work from you, or what results they could see, if they see a customer testimonial post, my friend, they'll be like, okay, yep, it's time. I want to buy this thing. I'm laughing right now too, because I totally get suckered in my customer testimonial posts. Whenever I'm waffling on a decision, I'm like, okay, yeah, thanks for telling me this, whatever the customer's name is. I appreciate you. I'm going to go buy this thing now. Okay, so customer testimonials are great. You can share them in lots of different ways. Video testimonials, quote posts, quote carousels with multiple customers, lots of different stuff. Customer transformation stories are super helpful and they're just slightly different, but it's telling the journey, telling the story of your customer's transformation who you've worked with before, right? So it's like so-and-so was really struggling with X, Y, and Z. Then they started working with me. We did A, B, C, and now their life looks like I don't know, 3 more letters that show examples, right? But, a transformation story, it's really instead of the front-facing praise that the customer is giving you, it's more you telling their transformation of what they were struggling with, what you did, and what results they got after working with you. And that can be super powerful for someone who is thinking about buying from you because it helps put themselves in your customer's shoes and think, oh yeah, I'm struggling with that too. Oh, she can help me do this. Oh, my life could look like that and I could see those results too, right? So those types of things are so powerful for helping your customers want to buy from you, right? So share customer testimonials, share customer transformation stories loudly and proudly and often, my friend. And if you want a deep dive into how to share customer testimonials, go back to episode 121 of the Feel Good Social Podcast because I deep dive into it in that episode, okay? Okay, now we are talking about the final 6th content theme that helps make people want to buy from you and support your brand, and that is talking about your offers. And I'm laughing because I just remembered I already told you that was the 6th content theme a little bit earlier in the episode, but oh well. Okay, this may seem like an obvious theme, or maybe not, right? But it's one that we need to hear again and again and again because a lot of times people, especially when they're new to entrepreneurship, shy away from talking about your offers and telling people what you're selling, right? We need to tell people what you sell regularly, proudly and just, in lots of different ways that hits people from lots of different angles. Okay. Because people can't buy from you if they don't know that you're selling anything. Okay. So I really want to encourage you, and especially as you move into highly promotional seasons in your business, such as this end of year or just like in the future when you're ready to sell something, just talk about your offers again and again and again. Let people know about them, and then they will have the opportunity to buy from you. Okay. And like I kind of hinted at, I'm not saying that we just need to make every post be buy from me, buy from me, buy from me post, right? There definitely is a time and place for highly promotional posts, forward facing selling posts. It's like 50% off this weekend or 2 spots left. Sign up for my program now, right? Those are definitely posts that can be strategic when used in the right way. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with posting that sort of stuff. But if every single one of your posts is like that, then it might feel kind of icky for you and your ideal customers, right? So when we talk about our offers, when we create content about our offers, there are different angles, different approaches we can use to talking about our offers. And quickly, I do want to mention before I break down lightly what we're talking about, the different ways you can talk about your offers and all the different stuff. I have several Feel Good Social podcast episodes all about selling. Throughout the past 3 years, my friends, there are probably like 10 episodes that are very, very specifically talking about easier ways to sell, tips for selling without feeling salesy, all that different stuff, right? Off the top of my head, 2 that you might want to scroll back and listen to are episode 75, all about selling, and Minisode 27, which is 3 content ideas you can create for selling that don't feel salesy or something like that. I don't know. But Minisode 27, episode 75, if you're looking for some selling episodes, those are good ones. There are also several more that you might scroll past that you might want to take a listen to. But I dive deep into selling strategies in a lot of previous episodes of the Feel Good Social podcast. Okay. But when it comes to talking about your offers and telling people what the heck you're selling, you can approach it from different angles and different avenues, like I said, so that it doesn't all feel like buy from me. A few things to think about are, what are your offers? Tell people, hey, did you know I offer podcast editing? Here's what it is. You know what I mean? Just telling people about your offers or like what they are is great for a post, right? And it doesn't have to be like buy from me. It can be like, hey, did you know I offer this? So tell people what the heck you're selling. You can tell people what problems your offers help to solve is another approach, right? Do you struggle with this? Guess what? I have a solution for you. You can talk about what your offers include, like what specifically your offers include. They include 90-minute calls every month plus 30 days of support via Voxer Unlimited, blah, 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 like whatever that looks like. You can tell, how do your offers change your ideal customers' lives? Okay. So if you sign up for the Feel Good Social Club, you could spend less time creating content for social media every month and instead spend the weekends with your friends or your family instead of worrying and stressing about Instagram, right? What other problems do they help solve for your offers? I don't know. You tell me, my friend. You can talk about what is unique about your offers. I love this approach so much because it's not something that a lot of people talk about, but like, what is unique specifically about your offers? Not just your brand, right? What is different about your process? Like, how do you support your ideal customers in a way that's different from everyone else, right? This is great to talk about specifically for your offers, even because then it helps them be like, oh yeah, like I need a podcast editor, but there's 2 people I'm choosing from. Like, this person does this differently and it more resonates with me. So I'm going to go with her, right? So talk about what is unique specifically about your offers. And then let's see what else. What do your offers value or support, right? This is kind of bringing it back to content theme 1 when we were talking about your brand values. Let's dive a little bit deeper and think about the values that your actual offers support, right? So for me, for Feel Good Social, let's think about this. I really value authenticity. And so I actually don't often create just like plug and play things. I do have the templates. I do provide post prompts. I even do suggested captions if people want to use them for their content. We have that available in the Feel Good Social Club for our members. But I always am encouraging people to take my templates and make them feel unique to them, make them feel like them, authentic. Take the captions and change up the wording. I use your own wording, make it feel authentic to you. I'm always going to be promoting that. And I try to present the content that I provide for my customers in a way that helps them do that, right? And so that's kind of one of the values of Feel Good Social that my offers reflect in a way. Another way to think about this is if you are donating a portion of proceeds from a specific offer that you have to a charity or something like that, then you could talk about it that way. But how do your offers support your values as a brand? What values do your offers showcase and help with? Talk about that. And then, oh, I love this one. Who are your offers perfect for? Okay, so this is just such a great post to post at least once a month, I would say. Our so-and-so package is perfect for the entrepreneur who is wearing all the hats in their business and they struggle to balance their personal life and their business, and social media is the last thing on their mind. They just don't feel like they have the time. It's confusing. They feel overwhelmed by all the things on their to-do list, and they just don't feel like they can see any traction. They're wondering if it's even worth it for them. When they join the Feel Good Social Club, we provide templates, we provide prompts, caption, plug and play things if needed to get you started, to make it easier to show up online. You can join our content planning workshops every month where you can literally sit down and outline your plan of attack for each upcoming month and get feedback and brainstorm ideas with your fellow community members. And you have a community of people just cheering you on, of hearing you out, listening to all your rants and complaints and giving you an air hug when you need it throughout your month, right? Talking about the Feel Good Social Club, this is perfect for, right? Who are your offers perfect for? Create a post about it and tell people, because they won't realize it unless you tell them. And then finally, create a post about why people should buy your offers now. Okay. This is always just great. Another way to talk about your offers and point specific things out to people. Okay. It's Wednesday is the last day to receive by Christmas, right? Weekend sale, 50% off for this weekend only. If you've been thinking about this offer, now's the time, my friend. Now is a great time to join the Feel Good Social Club as we are moving into this crazy holiday season. If you want to outline your content plan of attack, if you want to get feedback and brainstorm ideas, if you want to feel prepared to move into the holiday season so that you're doing the best you can to see as much success possible for you, join the Feel Good Social Club now, because it's the perfect time of year to get ahead of the game and start doing that. And we will be there for you to support you along the way, right? Why should people buy your stuff now? Tell them. They won't realize it unless you tell them, okay? So those are just a few ways to talk about your offers. And I just want to once again say, we often kind of hesitate. We often forget to talk about a lot of these things, but these are things that we can talk about on a regular basis. And if you really do want to end the year strong, and you're really looking feeling gung-ho and you're ready to show up in your marketing and try your best, this is actually really great content themes to create a post about every week. Just create one post about each of these 6 content themes every week. That means you're posting 6 times a week. Show up on your Instagram stories as well with this sort of stuff, right? And that will totally prepare your audience to want to buy from you as we move into this holiday season, and they're ready to spend money and they're looking to invest in things that are going to help them, right? So just had to say that once again because I know it can be a little bit scary and difficult to repeat yourself, but it's okay to talk about similar things again and again and again because people need to hear them again and again and again. Okay, my friend, I know I was probably talking forever in this episode. We will see how long it is, but I hope that you enjoyed it. If you do want to check out the Feel Good Social Club, it's feelgoodsocial.com/club. I would love to invite you and see you in there. You can join anytime. It's open membership. You can check it out today, join today, immediately gain access to all the templates, the prompts, the tutorial videos, the caption kind of, things, whatever they're called. And you can also join our upcoming Feel Good Social Club workshop. The next one, as of this recording, is happening on October 25th, but they do happen every month. So if you're listening to this in the future, great. You can still join, and you can still join our next content planning workshop. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to be talking about holiday strategies through the rest of the year, my friends. So check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.